In the previous video, you learned how to configure software and digital services for planning and modeling. In this video, you will learn about the use cases for security and environmental services. When you select Security and Environmental, a series of questions will get generated. On selecting the Security and Environmental solution, a series of questions will get displayed, which will help in configuring security and environmental services and appliances. Once you select Security and Environmental Solutions, you can see a few more questions. Here, the second question asks about the choice of the customer. By default, Rack Monitor is selected. And when you try to select Room Monitor, it will not get selected, as this provision is not available under Row Data Center Designer while aligning racks to the row. As per the current solution, we are providing only the Rack Monitor, which can be mounted only inside the racks. And the third question asks about security through the installation of cameras. In order to remotely monitor the equipment installed in places, it is advised to install a camera at the site. Installation of the camera will fulfill the purpose security and environmental monitoring. The default selection for the third question is No. The company provides offers for the configuration as per the choice for the requirement of cameras. The basic requirement to install a camera is the NetBots support system. There are two types of NetBots, which are NetBots 250 and NetBots 750. Out of these two, NetBots 250 does not support a camera, but NetBots 750 supports it. Even when the client chooses No, still we keep the NetBots 250 available for the customer in final BOM. You will find a sub-question for the camera requirement when you select Yes. When you insert the number of cameras required as per your requirement, BOM includes the price of the supported equipment. BOM displays only the 750 model when the customer requires a camera. Accordingly, the fourth question under Software and Digital Services asks about the rack access control. Racks are very critical in their operations, as they host critical service centers. Due to the feature of criticality, access control is required for locking the system. And these locked racks will be enabled only by authorized personnel. Once you select Yes for rack access control, additional sub-questions will get displayed. You may enter the number of racks as per your requirement. Here, we have mentioned 5, and the BOM changes accordingly depending on the racks selected. The next question helps us to check if the customers would like to add rack access cards from us or get their own. If From Us is chosen and the quantity selected is 1, you will find the details of that card in the BOM. On the other hand, if the customer chooses Own Cards, an additional frequency sub-question will be displayed. The default selection is 125 kHz, and you will find the rack access pod as 125 in the BOM as well. And when the frequency is changed, the details of the rack access pod will also change accordingly. You will find the card in the BOM, as the access card will be manufactured as per the customer's order. If the customer opts for his own card, hardware, including the door of the rack, will be changed. Now that we have completed answering the questions for security as per the requirement, let's understand the environmental section in detail. To detect the temperature of a data center, sensors are much needed. Since the data center is a critical infrastructure, it needs to be monitored frequently. These sensors will also find the hotspots generated inside the data center, if any, and ensure the downtime is not affected. Here, you will find different sensors as per the requirement. We must note the important point about sensor capacity. NetBots 750 supports up to 78 wired sensors, whereas NetBots 250 supports up to 42 wired sensors. And both NetBots 750 and 250 support 47 wireless sensors. You will see that on enabling the wired temperature and number of sensors and racks as one, NetBots 250 is displayed. Now that you are aware of the capacity of supporting the wired sensors of different NetBots systems, let's understand how this logic works for both wired and wireless. When we consider 41 with the camera requirement along with one point of interest, the wired temperature automatically changes to NetBots 750, and the sensor pod is added too. It shows how the elements are interdependent. You can also observe that along with the quantity of NetBots 250, a sensor pod is also added. Let's understand more about sensor pods. Each 150 sensor has 6 slots, and as we have mentioned, under 20 sensors suggests sensor pods are 3 along with a track monitor. Similar logic can be applied for wireless temperature as well. As we have mentioned 95 sensors, 3 NetBots 250 will be suggested. Now, let's understand the logic of selecting all the sensors. Here, we have selected 7 sensors, and you will see that BOM presents only one NetBots 250. But when we increase it to 9, Sensor Pod has also got added. An alarm beacon is another component that needs to be added to the rack monitor. Once the quantity of 2 alarm beacons is added, the number of rack monitors also increases with NetBots 250. And this will not affect the earlier logic, as this will be directly configured to the rack monitor. We have another sensor called Leak Rope, and this sensor is compatible with only NetBots 750. The quantity of NetBots 750 is 2, because it can only have 1 alarm beacon. The quantity of the Leak Rope will not change, because NetBots 750 can support 2 Leak Ropes. So, even when the quantity of Leak Rope is increased to 4, rack monitor quantity will not change, as the maximum sensor support of Leak Rope to support rack monitor NetBots 750 is 2. The final question, under security and environmental monitoring, is about the service. This choice enables the customer to configure and assemble the product which they have designed. Here, you will notice that with the alarm beacon quantity of 2, Assembly Services shows the requirement of 1. As you have understood each component, you can go ahead and fill in all the fields as per the requirement. Once configured, click Go to Solution Overview. With this, we have come to the end of this video. In this video, you learned about the use cases for security and environmental services of DCIM configuration as a standalone and in the Rode Data Center Designer. In the next video, we will learn about the Solution Overview page and reports.